Breaking news from around your world on this Friday, May 31st, 2019. I'm Larry Rice. North Korea executed its nuclear envoy to the United States as part of a purge of officials who steered negotiations for a failed summit between leader Kim Jong Un and President Donald Trump. The South Korean paper, the Chosun Ilbo, citing an unidentified North Korean source, said Friday that Kim Hyok Chol was executed in Pyongyang along with 4 foreign ministry executives back in March after they were all charged with spying for the United States. The summit in Hanoi, the second between Kim Jong Un and Trump, failed to reach a deal because of conflicts over U.S. calls for complete denuclearization of the Korean peninsula and North Korean demands for sanctions relief. The paper also reports Kim Yong Chol, Chairman Kim's right-hand man and the counterpart of U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo before the Hanoi summit, was also sent to a labor and reeducation camp near the Chinese border. Key officials who worked with Kim Yong Chol have also been out of the public eye since the summit, while seasoned diplomats who had been sidelined were seen returning to the spotlight. Chosun also reports that the interpreter for Kim Jong Un at the Hanoi meeting was also sent to a political prison camp for undermining the authority of Chairman Kim by making a critical interpretation mistake. An official at South Korea's Unification ministry declined comment. Hungarian police arrested the captain of a Viking cruise ship that collided with and sank a sightseeing boat packed with South Korean tourists as rescue crews geared up to raise the vessel from the bottom of the Danube River in the heart of Budapest. Search crews continued scouring the waters for 21 people still missing. 7 people are confirmed dead and 7 were rescued, all of them South Koreans. Hungarian officials said preparations to raise the 70-year-old boat, which was built in the former Soviet Union, could take days. Police who launched a criminal investigation into the incident said late Thursday the 64-year-old Ukrainian captain of the larger vessel is suspected of endangering water transport, leading to a deadly mass accident. That skipper, an Odessa resident, was described earlier by police as an experienced sailor. 19 South Koreans and 2 Hungarian crew members, the captain and his assistant, remain missing. A crisis management team from the South Korean government arrived in Budapest late Thursday, as well as representatives from the South Korean Tourist Agency, which organized the ill-fated trip. In a surprise announcement that could derail a major trade deal, President Trump announced Thursday that he's slapping a 5% tariff on all Mexican imports, effective June 10th, to pressure the country to do more to crack down on the surge of Central American migrants trying to cross the U.S. border. He said the percentage will gradually increase up to 25% until the illegal immigration problem is remedied. Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador responded in a public letter late Thursday, telling Trump that social problems are not solved with duties or coercive measures, and alluded to the United States' history as a nation of immigrants. He also said he was dispatching his foreign relations secretary to Washington on Friday to try and negotiate a solution. The sudden tariff threat comes at a peculiar time, given how hard the Trump administration has been pushing for passage of the USMCA, but the White House insisted that tariffs were completely separate from the USMCA because one pertained to immigration and the other to trade. Vice President Mike Pence said Thursday that President Trump is a great friend of the Canadian people, and that the U.S.-Canada relationship has never been stronger, less than a year after Trump assailed Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in unprecedented attacks on America's longtime ally. Pence was in Ottawa hoping to build momentum to pass USMCA, the new trade deal with Canada and Mexico. But after Pence left to return to Washington, Trump announced the 5% tariff on all Mexican imports to pressure the country to do more to crack down on the surge of Central American migrants trying to cross the border. Trump just recently removed U.S. steel and aluminum tariffs on Canada and Mexico, clearing a roadblock to a North American trade deal that his team negotiated last year. The new trade deal, signed in November by the leaders of the three nations, is meant to replace NAFTA, the North American Free Trade Agreement. The pact needs approval from lawmakers in each country, and several key U.S. lawmakers and Canada were threatening to reject it unless the tariffs were removed. Uber is continuing to bleed money even as it posts dramatic revenue growth. In its first financial report since its lackluster debut on Wall Street, Uber said Thursday that its revenue rose to $3.1 billion in the first quarter of 2019, up 20% from the same time last year, beating expectations of analysts polled by FactSet. But the ride-hailing giant posted $1 billion in losses as it fights to maintain its share of the market. San Francisco-based Uber, like its main U.S. competitor Lyft, has spent heavily on rider promotions and driver incentives to gain market share. One reason the companies have struggled to reach profitability. Both are dealing with intense competition, high costs to pay drivers, increased regulation by cities, and a long, uncertain road to the development of autonomous vehicles. Uber went public 3 weeks ago, and its shares have been trading below its IPO price ever since. Its stock price closed at $39.80 on Thursday, down 12% from its IPO price of $45 a share. In Uber's first day of trading, the company's market value took a $617 million hit, the largest loss on the first day of trading by a U.S.-based company in recent history, according to Renaissance Capital. California regulators on Thursday approved allowing utilities to cut off electricity to possibly hundreds of thousands of customers to avoid catastrophic wildfires like the one sparked by power lines last year that killed 85 people and largely destroyed the California city of Paradise. Utilities' liability can reach billions of dollars, and after several years of devastating wildfires, they asked regulators to allow them to pull the plug when fire risk is extremely high. That's mainly during periods of excessive winds and low humidity when vegetation is dried out and can easily ignite. Pacific Gas and Electric said it anticipates cutting the power only in truly extreme fire danger weather, while recognizing that there are safety risks on both sides of this issue. PG&E initially planned to de-energize power lines in at-risk rural areas, but has since expanded its plans to include high-voltage transmission lines, like the one that sparked the nation's deadliest wildfire in a century. The blaze last November killed 85 people while wiping out nearly 15,000 homes in and around Paradise. Utility equipment has been blamed for many of California's most destructive and deadly wildfires in recent years. Narendra Modi was sworn in for his second term as India's Prime Minister Thursday after a landslide victory last week for his Bharatiya Janata Party. President Ram Nath Kovind administered the oath of office to Modi before the president's official home in New Delhi. Some 5,000 people, including current and former lawmakers and even some Bollywood stars, attended. Cabinet members also took the oath of office during the ceremony, including BJP leaders Amit Shah, Rajnath Singh, Nitin Gadkari, and S. Jaishankar. Congratulations to all who took oath today, Modi said on Twitter. This team is a blend of youthful energy and administrative experience. It has people who have excelled as parliamentarians and those who have had distinguished professional careers. Together, we will work for India's progress. The BJP's National Democratic Alliance won well more of the 272 seats needed to govern without building a coalition in the elections. Danish-born socialite Klaus von Bülow, who was convicted but later acquitted of trying to kill his wealthy wife in two trials that drew intense international attention in the 1980s, has died. He was 92. Von Bülow, who moved to London after he was cleared, died at his home there on Saturday, according to his son-in-law, Riccardo Pavancelli. The tall, aristocratic von Bülow was charged with putting his wife, Martha Sonny von Bülow, into an irreversible coma to gain her fortune so he could live with his mistress, a raven-haired soap opera actress. He was convicted of attempted murder in 1982 at a trial in Newport, Rhode Island that was widely followed with its high society overtones about possible attempted murder by insulin injection. The conviction was overturned on appeal, and von Bülow was acquitted at his second trial in 1985. Sonny von Bülow died in 2008, nearly 28 years after she became comatose. Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz, who represented von Bülow, said he scrupulously avoided the spotlight. Dershowitz said on Thursday, he lived a good, happy life following his acquittal because he decided to remain in private. I advised him, once we won the case, to disappear from public view. He, unlike O.J. Simpson, accepted my advice. 8 spellers were better than the dictionary. In fact, they were better than anything the Scripps National Spelling Bee could throw at them, and they all ended up with a hand on the winner's trophy. In the most extraordinary ending in the 94-year history of the competition, the Spelling Bee ended in an 8-way tie Thursday night. The 8 co-champions spelled the final 47 words correctly, going through 5 consecutive perfect rounds. The 8 winners spelled their way through 20 rounds over Bee Week that began Monday, beating out 554 other contestants, ranging in age from 7 to 15 throughout the United States and other territories for the coveted title of Spelling Bee champion. The Bee has never had more than a 2-way tie for the title in its history. Bee Executive Director Paige Kimball said organizers discussed this contingency plan for ending the competition earlier Thursday, after it took 5.5 hours to narrow the field from 50 spellers to 16. The 8 champion spellers, who range in age from 12 to 14, will each receive $50,000 in cash, which is the grand prize for the Spelling Bee winner. And that's your update for this Friday, May 31st, 2019. I'm Larry Rice. Thanks so much for listening and for supporting this podcast with your generous donations. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.